get going, all right?
I'm in the field.
Just
All
get
right,
into the-
we are now recording, so if you want to open the meeting.
Is it being broadcast live?
It is being recorded and broadcast live.
So that's the announcement to the members of the.
Well, I'm not on the board, maybe you should announce it.
Well, please be aware that the meeting's being recorded and we're being broadcast live
Mm-hmm.
on Hubbardston Channel. Entertain a motion to open the meeting.
Second.
Be aware that our chairman is currently not here, but I hope he'll be here in a few minutes. You've all had a chance to read, I hope, the minutes of the previous meeting.
Yes.
Better late than never.
Yeah, I just started, I was, opened the meeting, Mr. Chairman, and announced that we were being recorded.
Yes.
And
And,
broadcast
uh,
live.
The ball is now in your court.
Thank you. My apologies. Got so many things going on, I'm losing track here.
Hi.
I'm back.
So we are at approving the minutes. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to read them or not.
So if you would please go through the minutes of February 19th.
Music
And the 29 programs added is all public access,
Sorry, where were we looking at?
whole business.
Under old business.
29 programs have been added. They were added. That's between meetings and events.
Since
different
since
things.
the
So that was the
previous meeting, yeah.
that happened at this meeting.
What's the procedure for determining what type of program goes on the cable channel?
It's at my discretion with the guidance of the board.
Has anybody on the board seen any of the new 29 programs?
I have.
And what do you think?
I think they're great.
A lot of them
Most of them are meetings.
Meetings.
Like select board meetings,
Okay.
planning
I
board
mean,
meetings.
I use it for when I'm not available to come to a meeting that I want to go to
Okay.
catch up.
Okay.
I think it's been fairly, I mean, maybe it's because I'm an invalid right now that they're being nice to me, the people, but everybody seems to like it, what's going on, so.
That's fine.
Actually, I'm less of an invalid now than I was, but. Has everybody had a chance to get through the minutes?
Yep.
I'll accept the motion.
Motion to accept.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Broadcast meetings. Can you give us an update as to where we're looking at?
That was actually a request from John. It was regarding an issue that he saw with recording. I know he had talked to Brittany a little bit about it. It seems more to be a like a TV error than a recording error, where he couldn't get it over there. So that's what that is in regards
Street
to.
or road folks.
We talked about
And
this.
yeah, I told you about that. And there were people in there with kids too, I think, because I could hear little ones in there. So this was kind of the overflow crowd. There was quite a few people. And it would be ideal even in regular selectmen's meetings, if an issue came up and there were an overflow, they should be able to see it on cable in there on 191.
Right.
I couldn't get anything to get out, and I was watching it beforehand. I had it on 191. When I went out there, the screen was black, so I moved the channels around. I couldn't get anything. It was just, everything was gone, shut down. What did that? I'm not sure.
Right. It sounds like it was probably an issue with the television or whatever. I would, I'm gonna take a look at it, but I think maybe it would be good to have some written instructions, like step by step, so if in the event that we have overflow, somebody can go over there that's unfamiliar with the system and just follow those steps and be able to turn on the TV and.
All I did is put it on channel 191, and
If the,
I had it on earlier
that's the
and
wrong
was watching it. It went blank.
Yeah.
Black.
But government meetings are not put on 191, they're put on
192.
192. Yeah.
Tried that too.
But yeah.
Nothing worked.
Yeah, no, it sounds like the cable box was out or something, an input was wrong on the TV in that room. So I'll take a look at it, and I'm planning on making written up instructions so that hopefully we can avoid that in the future.
Okay, great. Okey-doke?
Yep.
All right. Okay, Easter egg hunt's coming up. Are we set to get that on video?
We are planning to record, yes.
Okay. Who is going to do that? Are you going to be doing it, or do you have?
Either myself or one of my employees.
Okay, great. And the town cleanup, which is the 20th of this month. Same-o. Get some video coverage of that.
I wasn't planning on it, just because I don't know that I could really make a interesting program about it. But if you have some suggestions, I'm open to it.
Thanks. As I understand it, that's gonna be all over town in different places, so it's probably gonna, unless we have a schedule of some sort, that they could give us so we would know where to send people.
yeah, it's only 10 to 12, I believe. I have a flyer for it. So it's a short thing. Basically, I think more what we should do is just kind of advertise the cleanup online. I don't know if I've already put it on there. It's just like an advertisement. And then, social media at the time of, or, even pictures from last year. But I think it would be hard to watch people drop off a bag of cans or trash,
Yeah,
as
the
a
collection point
programming
might
thing.
be, you might film one group of people collecting things, but then go to the collection point, watch people bringing it in, get some idea of the volume of the trash that's picked up around.
Who's
Laura Foley,
Laura is doing that?
yes.
So
maybe we-
signs right here, Tom.
Maybe we reach out to her if she
Yeah,
has
that's-
any ideas on
Yeah,
video
tell her
recording.
that if it was possible for there to be, some focus points that she should suggest, we would consider at least getting some video in there.
Or just a bunch of still photos, you can do a slideshow of the activity.
Would you have somebody available that day to do it? if you needed to?
Possibly. There's a egg hunt in Boylston that day.
Okay. So what we could do too is put Laura maybe in charge of taking photos throughout the day, or other people submitting them.
Why
They
don't we
could-
do that? Why don't
they-
we ask her if she would take some photographs, or have somebody in her group going around taking photographs, and if they can get them to the cable committee.
Then we can make a slideshow
We
out
know
of
a
it.
guy who can turn that into a slideshow for us. pretty quick.
Okay.
And the Green family put some of their music in the background.
Sure.
I could do that too.
Okay, make sure that's okay with them. The Memorial Day Parade, I probably need to, their meeting is coming up next week, I believe.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Mhm.
Do you know
Claudia's-
if there's a designated start time yet?
Claudia is back, so she's here, so she will be able to, I think she wants to keep it 11. But that's
I can
to
confirm.
be determined.
Okay.
She wants to do it at 11. The band is not available
She knows that.
okay, because I left her a message
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
out, so.
Is it normally 2 o'clock?
Huh?
Is it normally 2 o'clock? or-
Yeah, we've normally done it at 2 o'clock because of the one available marching band for the 4 years that we don't have Quabbin, has 2 previous engagements that day and they can't, 2 o'clock's the earliest they can be here. In fact, sometimes they get here just a little later than my watch does, but, okay, I'll get a hold of her and just make sure, I mean, that's the Monday of Memorial Day weekend.
The 27th.
We need to, have that, I think we need to have that covered.
It was last year.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
last year.
I think, yeah, well, having it in the afternoon is a lot easier, cause most other towns have them in the morning, so there's less conflict if it's in the afternoon, but I will of course try my best.
And that's something that should be brought up then, you know, just
Right.
1, the band, 2, recording, you know, if she wants those done.
Do I need to see someone to make sure that there are American flags out for Memorial Day?
I'll ask Brian about that.
Please
I know
do.
that was something that, yep.
They weren't there last year because they were superseded by sponsorship flags. And I'm frankly, I'm gonna have to pull my wife down off of those poles to rip those things down if the flags aren't there, so.
I know I talked to, or last year it was brought up after the selectmen's meeting about the flags as well.
Okay,
These I put on here as well, meet the candidates night, that's no date for that yet. This was just more an upcoming list of events
Right.
that we wanna keep.
When is your election scheduled for?
The 5th, 4th, 5th, is it the 5th,
Fifth
Tom?
of June?
I'm sorry.
No? The 5th, the election, it's a Tuesday after town meeting, so June 4th,
June 4th?
June 4th.
Alright,
So usually it's right before that. I'll work with Claudia to get a date. They usually host that.
okay.
Okay, and I'm sure the town meeting is on on your
Yes,
schedule?
yes, absolutely.
Make sure we get that. And the Hubbardston Fair, which follows again on the 22nd of June,
Also in my calendar.
okay? Tell me about the PEG access operation payment.
You have a copy right underneath your agenda, which is the check received.
Right.
Copy of the check.
At the very bottom.
I saw the
Yeah,
check.
okay.
So that was deposited, last week into the cable committee account.
Okay. Any questions concerning that amount?
Not on my behalf.
It's probably a shade more than I kind of expected.
Good. It's always a pleasant
Yeah.
thing to hear.
Yeah.
Getting more money than we expected. It's good.
I thought we were somewhere in the 15,000 area, so that's
Well,
great.
if you look at the income sheet here,
Yeah.
that's surprising to me.
Yeah, well, it's not to me. I mean, they're not going broke.
I'm talking about the
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not going broke. Good. Any questions relative to that?
Excuse me,
Yes.
what was the amount?
Oh, I'm sorry, the amount was a percentage of, their,
Revenue.
income, their revenue.
Gross revenue, yeah.
Minus, any other stuff they had, so it's part of their gross, to the positive. For us, it's 1.5% of gross revenues.
1.25, 1.25,
What did I say?
1.5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1.25, it's right here in front of me, it says 1.25, sure as the devil. And, that amounts to $18,059.53 that we got this year to put back into our account. And for those of you who might be watching on television, I should just say that That comes out of a portion of your annual or your monthly fee that you pay to them, and they have to take that and they have to give it back to us. So. Okay, that's the end of our old business. Adding on to that, the FCC rule advised the decision was delayed due to the government shutdown. If passed, the Cable Commission could start charging fees which would reduce funding to towns. Viewership, channel placement, and internet access to homes discussed. And if you haven't seen that or been advised of that, it's been on several television programs, several news discussions in the Worcester area for a while. And it looks to me like it's threatening to be step one to have us be on our own to fund our cable committees. That's what it says to me.
I posted on the channel's Facebook page, Senator Ed Markey met with a lot of public access leaders and stations yesterday and then held a press conference. So I posted a video of that press conference on our Facebook page.
Okay. I haven't seen that yet. I will look at that.
On WHPA.
Yes, on the Facebook page, yeah.
Facebook page, yeah. I mean, I think, I would question the 29 programs and all that, but I know that Brittany is going to tell us that we're outstripping everybody else, so I'll just take that as, it always reads that way, which is, good for us. We're doing well. We continue to outstrip in the number of, the percentage of people that are looking at our programs and the hits we have on YouTube. So we just need to keep advertising that we're there and making sure people know that we're there. I could tell you I have 3 friends in town who told me when I first got involved in the cable committee that this was never going to work, who are watching it every day now. So it takes time. Volunteer recruitment. We're not doing well.
Oh, you're on the old, that's why. You're on the old agenda. That's-
Oh, the older, yeah, you're right.
It's on the table.
I see. I need to go back to this one. I'm sorry. So the only thing left on our agenda then is meeting schedules and meeting recording. Have we come up with a plan yet?
So, I know it was asked, how many meetings are held a month and about rescheduling them. So I did a quick look at some of them, going back, this was right after we had done it. And so in the month of January, there were upwards of, some days had 1 meeting and others had 4 that would have to be moved to try to move them. If you fit them into a week, you could only fit 4, maybe 5, because offices are closed, so now you would have to grant access for people to come in. So you're looking at, basically, we're open 4 days a week. You do have some that meet on the weekends. The Historical Commission is one of them. But on a given day, like I said, on January 7th, there was a Board of Selectmen meeting, a Conservation meeting, a Board of Assessors meeting, and an Open Space Committee. So those meetings alone would fill up that entire week, because you would have to hold them on different days. And then you would have 2 on that following Tuesday to reschedule, 3 on the following Wednesday, and then 1 on the 10th. So in 1 week alone, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 meetings, which would fill up over 2.5 weeks of time.
Okay.
So, to me, to try to reschedule everybody to just this building alone does not seem possible. So that's where,
See if I understand what you're saying. There are 10 meetings that would require recording?
this is if everybody were to be recorded.
Well,
So
all,
if all boards agreed that you would have, say, the, Board of Selectmen are already being done, or already being recorded, and then the planning board. But if this is to add, say, the Conservation Commission, the Board of Assessors, and Open Space, that's 3 additional meetings on the same night as the Board of Selectmen.
So they would have to be rescheduled.
Then you have Board of Health, and then you have
Not-
Council on Aging on the next night.
Not necessarily would they have to be rescheduled, because select board meets here, assessors meet in the office, conservation commission meets in the conference room across the hallway.
Correct.
So everybody has a location.
You don't have cameras, though,
We don't have-
to address that
we don't have the
situation.
ability to record, take the video.
So you would need additional field cameras or permanent fixed cameras, which are gonna be an expense. Plus the uploading time off of a field camera is, almost double the time
Mm-hmm.
because of edits. So you would be increasing that by a lot.
Well, we had asked you not to, we had asked you to look at available space, not to, that we could try to get everybody in on a live camera. And so what you're telling us is that we're going to have, in order to try to get every board and committee on the air, we're going to have to look at a different plan and set some priorities on, which boards and committees should have priority to be televised, and then others of them will probably we'll have to probably send a camera in to do that. If in fact we set the standard on every single one's gonna have a camera in. I'm not real sure that that's, I'm not real sure of that being a viable solution. So let me ask you, Brittany,
Mm-hmm.
what's your experience in towns? Do they try to get all of them on the recorded, or do they just, do they focus on ones that are, like the planning board, the select board, the finance committee, those, heavy hitters, relative to, what's going on in town, and then, pick up the other ones on as they're dealing with some important topic?
So it kind of runs the full gamut. I have some towns that really just focus on what you kind of coined the heavy hitters, so Board of Selectmen, Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, that sort of thing. And then I have some towns that try to record as much as they can, so they're doing library and sometimes they're doing Board of Assessors or the Water Department or the Light Department. It's just kind of what the board decides.
Do they do that, excuse me just a minute.
Yep.
Do they do the water department all the time, or is it just when the water department has some issue going on?
The water department doesn't meet very frequently, but
Always when the water's
so
needed.
rather than water, because they really don't meet very often. But let's say the light department, we consistently try to cover the light department meetings. If there is a board that we don't normally cover that much, say like assessors or something like that, just because a lot of that meeting takes place in executive session due to privacy concerns. Sometimes we won't make that as large of a priority, or we may not cover it unless there's something of interest. But just kind of picking things that are of interest, it completely depends of what's of interest to one person versus another, or it may seem like the cable committee sort of like picking and choosing what they cover, playing favorites or something like that. So that's just something that usually I try to advise against picking and choosing. I think it's a better idea to kind of make a rule, like we'll cover all of these planning board meetings, we'll cover all of the conservation committee meetings, that sort of thing, or we'll cover all public hearings,
Cause the issue is if one person feels one issue's important, the other
Sure.
one might not.
Yeah,
And that
you-
was a concern
absolutely.
that was brought up.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question relative to all of this. What's the Secretary of State's rule on recording meetings? Are we required to do it, or is this
No.
something
No,
we're not required to do?
No. As far as open meeting law goes, anyone can record an open meeting as long as it doesn't interfere with the, the meeting itself.
Yeah.
There's no requirement to record the meeting.
So-
Obviously, just minutes.
Yeah, it's not then subject to the open meeting law.
It
It
Uh,
doesn't
Yes,
require,
it
the
is.
open meeting law doesn't require
I'm
you
talking
to.
about the
to-
cable committees,
Oh, as far as like
Participation.
if we decided to cover one light department meeting and then not another,
yeah.
like no, there's no rule one way or the other as far as that goes.
The open meeting law really focuses on the meeting itself. So it's open,
Well,
and
it's
if
a
you,
requirement to the open meeting law. I'm just wondering if
Right.
this is one of the requirements, and if it isn't, I don't see a great push to do that unless people come forward and say, we wanna see what goes on at the health department's meeting.
Well,
et cetera.
although we haven't had many people come forward saying that they wanted to watch a specific meeting per se, your viewership numbers online indicate that there's a lot of people that are
There's
very
there's
interested
interest, yeah.
in local government. Your viewership numbers are really high for a town your size, so I think there's an appetite there. There's definitely room for covering more meetings. I think you would be
So here's-
satisfying a need.
Here's
So
what- go ahead.
So what we should do is just buy more equipment.
Well,
Okay, we should do two things. Buy more equipment, A,
Hire
for
more
cameras, portables, so we can go to X number Y meetings, and then create a roster, and then decide amongst ourselves on this roster, whether it's select board, planning board, blah, 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 these particular meetings will always be
Right.
covered, or always be videotaped. And then on a rotating basis, we will go down the roster and go A to Z, this one, this one, this one. So that way everybody gets maybe 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah.
We don't have, like you say, we may not have to get to every one meeting. They may not be doing anything significant. But over the course of the year, you should have 2 or 3 to reference.
I had another thought while I've been sitting on my tush with my leg elevated for 5 weeks. Supposing that we looked at this, the ones that we really, I don't think you have to go too far to lay out the ones that you're gonna wanna do every meeting. Those to me are pretty obvious.
So Selectmen, Finance Committee,
yeah.
Planning Board.
Right. And then, what if we, how to say this, what if we required, a report from the secretary of all the other boards when they have their meeting, and put a news program on, just reading the minutes of the meetings that were held this week, once a week, put it on, and tell them, what's going to be on the agenda next time, and just put it on. We don't have that on our television. So
what if we were to just put the agendas on the television instead of discussing them and letting them know that it's a public meeting? Everybody has to post an agenda,
right,
Yeah, but it only has to happen 48 hours prior to the meeting.
Yeah.
so
That-
you
and
have
that's-
a lot of posting.
that's
Well, I would just require that I'm checking very frequently, which I can do. That's possible for sure, but there's a chance that that will only be up on the channel for 48 hours. Or less, depending on when I find out about it.
But it's a way to at least put on the cable that there's, the Board of Health is meeting on next Thursday, and the agenda is as follows.
Can we
Yep,
have
they
it
already-
tied to our website,
Yeah, but they already do that, don't they?
Tied what to the
the
website?
agenda?
It's not on the,
No,
it's
right.
not on the.
No,
television,
I don't think it.
think.
I don't think that
Well,
you
I
can do an
haven't seen
RSS feed for.
It's on the town website.
Yes.
It's on the town website. You're right.
But our meeting schedule is not on cable.
No, I can absolutely post the meeting schedule on cable far in advance as far as the calendar has it, but agendas oftentimes boards don't post their agenda until right beforehand. That would be the only part that I would be kind of concerned about is the turnover rate with the agendas.
How about if we post the meeting notice that Joyce gets from the committee, and that has what they're going to be doing, the date and time?
That's what we're discussing. That's the agenda, but like she said, and it's true, for any of the other ones, they're
if
only
somebody's
due
interested,
48 hours in advance.
yeah,
We typically
that's
post
pretty-
them
If we,
48 hours.
if we
in advance.
posted today, that the cable committee is going to meet next month at such and such a time, agenda will be available 2 days early, 48 hours before.
How long do you think that will work, though, of people noticing it before it's just kind of washed out? Because it's the same rolling information.
I don't know, but I can tell you this, this is off the subject, but we're looking, the Lions Club is looking at the possibility of funding for the town
Yes.
a
Message board.
a message board. They're not cheap. And there's a lot of reasons we need to do that, and that is that the town has been very generous in supporting us so that we have the money to do these things. But the other side of it is that most of us are kind of tired, I think, of mentioning something that's going on in town and the people say, gosh, I didn't know that was going on. And at the meantime, it's on the town meeting list on the website. It could be on the police sign down there. It could be on the Clark corner, but they're just not seeing it. And so we're just trying to. This is just another part of why I was interested in being involved in the cable committee, and that is to improve communications in the town. This is a case of the old adage of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And there's no excuse. I just would like to explore every avenue that we have to ensure that the information is out there in the way that we can get it out there. And we have another way now that the cable committee has a way now with our cable television to give them another place that they can look. I have again. I'm a way long ways away from being a millennial, and I have my friends to a great degree don't get on the internet, don't know how to do that in some cases. We have one or two Lions that we have to mail them a date that we're having a meeting, so it's just we're dealing with a very complex and a very diverse group, and finding a way to make sure that everybody at least has a way. We can't make them go get it, but we can make sure that it's out there in some kind of a way. And I just was thinking of it in terms of it's going to be very difficult to set up a viable without buying a whole bunch of more equipment. And that's not off the desk, but if there's a way we could use at least our current equipment to cover the bases of the ones that we know need to be covered, and then make sure that we use our venue to ensure that at least it's out there. There's a place they can go. They can turn on their television at a certain time of the day, and that's going to be the monthly schedule or whatever. Might be a way to get around this a little bit.
So monthly schedules, that would be easier, again, for her as
I can
far
do
as
that.
posting
That's
agendas.
no problem.
With agendas, if you tried to post them, the other thing is you have amendments to agendas, so if she's posting it
Sure.
and if it's posted after.
It's getting too complicated.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
My
It's getting-
concern is
it's
now
getting
you're
way over
leading
the top.
to
Right.
any possible complaints of things being posted incorrectly, agendas not being correct. You're subjecting yourself to a lot of, I think, legalities.
Not
by
me.
posting. No, but
The
just
chairman
the
of
whole.
the chairman of that committee or board.
But if it's posted and the amendment isn't changed because it was amended, after it was, posted, like I said, I don't want there to be a conflict of, the chair of that board to, coming to this board and because a meeting was not posted because it was changed after it was posted by us. So the only way I think you could do it is, like I said, posting the meetings and just saying,
Yeah, just post the meetings. tell them to check, you know, you can check for the agenda at a later date.
Yeah, check for agenda on our website.
No, I have a kind of a suggestion as far as rather than trying to get committees to reschedule or whatever, if you could request that committees, if this room is available and they have a meeting, that they come to this room. For example, this evening, Conservation Commission has a public hearing, but it's over in the library basement.
Should be
This
here.
room is open, and
Should
if
be
they
here.
were here, we could easily record it and post it that night on YouTube and schedule it for the rest of the week, etc.
We should take that action.
So I've heard it from other people, the reason why it's usually in that area or their area is because their stuff is in that area.
And what?
Their stuff is in that area, their files, their, you know, records, their anything like that where they can easily access them. Plus the other thing is not everybody has access to this building. So now we'd be gaining access to this building and it's a security issue.
And we've kind of skirted this issue previously because the select board hasn't come out and said, this is what they should do. This should be, for example, that's a good point that you both are making. This meeting should be meeting hall number 1. If any meeting is gonna be conducted on any given night and there are no other meetings at the same time, then that public meeting should be conducted in this facility, just for what Brittany brought up, can easily be recorded. That hasn't gone across any of the assessors' desks or any notes that I've gotten from the select board. So,
Well, I
you're
think-
right.
I think
It should be
first,
here, number one.
The
We
select
should
board's
be-
not gonna do that until we
Yeah,
go
but-
to them and ask them to.
But they're as knowledgeable about open meeting requirements as we are. And I question whether or not we have the authority to go to another board and say, you've got to have your meeting here.
We can't,
don't.
but we
Right.
can request.
We can
Okay.
request it.
So, and going back, and the other thing, we're starting to get too complicated once again. All the monthly postings are there on the town website, am I right on that? Everything is there. When you go upcoming meetings, you click it, it's there. And you see, this night, this night, this night, that night, and they're all color coded, they're all easy to read, you can enlarge them. But now you're gonna ask people, well, let's bounce from the town website to the YouTube website, which I have reviewed, and I'm sure you have too, and other members of this board. There are 3 or 4 different or multiple organizations that use our call letters for their call letters. So you're gonna get people, like you say, you're gonna get people looking at their screen going, is this it? I don't recognize any of these people. What the hell's going on here? They're gonna look and say, shut it down, close this, I don't wanna be bothered with this.
That was really what I was getting at. We've got the tail wagging the dog here. We have no right to tell anybody that they have to record their meeting live on TV. The direction has to come from the town manager and the board, the select board. And
Yeah,
then,
I agree with you, but the question he asked is, we gotta wait for them to decide they wanna do that. No, we gotta go to them and ask them if they would do that.
well, are we being queried about it, told that we have to do this, or we should be doing it? I'm all for, you know, everything out in the open, that's great. I
No, we
think-
have one person in town who's sitting in this room right now, who has been here and wants to see that happen, so let's not ignore the,
Well, I think the thing for him to do, we're willing to do it. But we don't have the authority to tell people that they're gonna record their meetings. That's about where it stands. So direction has to come from somewhere. And it doesn't have to, and it can't come from here. We have no authority to do that.
I understand
We're
that. but-
willing to do it.
So if I wanna buy into what, and I'll be right with you. If I wanna buy into your arguments, then we need to dissolve the cable committee and turn us all over to the,
No, we're doing what the cable committee's supposed to do now. I'm saying we can't be telling people that they're gonna meet and have their meeting recorded. It's not we don't have any authority to do that.
okay, but I'm not asking that. What I'm saying is, it's up to us to try to find a way to make it happen. And then to go ask the select board, you know, listen, we can do this, we can throw a lot of money at it and get all this equipment and hire some extra people and do some training. first off, keep in mind, we're gonna have to hire someone, cause the number of people who are volunteering is 0, and so it's gonna cost more money. For some period of time, we have the money to do that. Or we can try to encourage some sharing of resources, and I probably would ask if it was me standing there, I probably would say to the select board,
We've been requested.
we're trying to make this happen. And the only way it can happen is if you guys get involved and make some suggestions. And I mean, I don't know, the select board frankly may not wanna start telling people where to meet.
And
I
again,
think
you
it's a
have
matter
the
of equipment.
security issue of this building, of everybody having access to it. And so that was the discussion for the senior center, of having that room, because it's open, but again, now you're letting people in there and they have files as well.
Sure. Yes, Tom?
Thank you. First off, congratulations, you guys, on recording this meeting. Really good.
We said we would.
Oh, it's really good. Progress. Regarding access to this room and simultaneous access to files, planning board's been in this room and our files have been over there for 3 years. Never been an issue. You bring to the table, your clerk brings to the table the relevant files, and because the agenda's defined, they know what the files are that are relevant, and if there is an exception to that, they run over and get it. That happened 2 meetings ago, planning board. So I don't consider that an issue. Security on this room, they've changed it all around a lot, but all these files have locks on them, and the security on the room has never been an issue either for the last 3 years or so. I really like the idea that you declare this the, what'd you call it, meeting room number 1.
Meeting room number 1.
And ask whenever a meeting occurs, if there's no conflict, they schedule themselves in here. And I think that would work really well. The other thing you said is that we could just go with a news report from the meeting minutes and the agendas, or maybe the agendas and the meeting minutes. Meeting minutes often don't come out for months. And that's just a getting the work done kind of situation. Many boards have gone beyond months.
Well,
Also,
the flaw in my suggestion, I thought was pretty obvious, didn't come up, but the problem is that you're not gonna see those minutes until after they've been approved by the next meeting.
well, at least the next meeting, sometimes 2 or 3 meetings.
Right.
The real value of the recording and broadcasting is its live value. It's as timely as you can make it. It's live. And people get to see it and not, as you said, hear about it months later. I mean, sometimes events happen, and I'm always frustrated by reading a newspaper article or hearing about something that happened last weekend. And gee, I would have loved to have gone to that, but
Yeah.
didn't know about it.
Right.
So the live value, or the value of it being live, is really what this effort brings to it. The other thing you said is maybe we should just try to do the best we can and address the heavy hitters. And I, for a long time, have defined the heavy hitters, at least from my point of view, is those that deal with a significant amount of money and make decisions on projects. And a project would be something that happens to the town. And I think they are the Finance Committee, the Concom, and Board of Health as kind of the big 3 beyond this cable committee, which is certainly important, and the Select Board and the Planning Board, which are already currently recorded. While I got the floor, I'm gonna go 2 more areas. What if you don't do Facebook? Because I'm far from being a millennial, is that what you say? Or the other way of looking at it is, I'm
old.
coming up on a century, but what do you do if you don't do Facebook? Can those things that are posted on Facebook be accessed through the town website? Cause I do the
I
town
believe we have a
website.
feed on ours, right?
Yeah, there's links to all of our YouTube videos on the town website.
And if you're on the town website and you click that, you don't have to be a Facebook user to get access to it?
No, that Facebook, I'm just posting the YouTube links. So I'm just using Facebook as a vehicle to spread the news that's on another website. Our YouTube channel, I'm not posting content on the Facebook page that isn't available elsewhere.
All right, so the answer to my question, if you don't do Facebook, you're not missing out on anything.
No.
No.
Good, okay. Then the other thing that's coming up is our town meeting. And I came here last May in preparation for the town meeting, and I suggested that we review the sound system and the microphone and the way things are arranged. I found it difficult to go to the microphone, which is pretty close to the moderator's podium, and speak to the moderator, and I felt it was rude to be standing there talking to a moderator, and everybody else I got my back to him. It's not very good communication. We either could have a second podium right next to the moderator and have the speaker come up to the podium and speak to the town meeting, which is all the little people in the chairs.
I don't think that would be the cable committee's decision to make.
I'm not
really.
saying it is, but I know that the cable committee provides the sound system.
Correct, but as far as
Told me that.
arrangement of people and podiums and stuff like that, that's not cable committee doesn't decide that.
No,
We
but,
could-
but you certainly got expertise, perhaps more expertise than any other party in the town. And if you could put some effort into, the slideshow capability, can't see anything on those slideshows back from about row 6 back.
Okay,
and
again,
maybe
that's not
Gary-
cable committee.
Well, I don't care about who it isn't.
I
I'm
think
trying
we're
to
the
make something
vehicle that makes
positive
it
happen.
you know.
I'm just saying that perhaps you should speak to the people who will be putting together the slideshow. That would make more sense
I'm
because,
talking about the screen,
correct,
the light intensity, the
right, that has
projector
nothing
capability.
to, we don't control
Well,
that.
All right, I'll say it one last time. I think you people have a lot of expertise in this area. And it would perhaps help the town if you raise your hand and say, hey, can we make a better presentation at town meeting? That's all. If I
think-
have to go somewhere else, I'll also go somewhere else.
I think what he was trying, again, he's just saying that if we, example with you, if you took your knowledge, skill, and ability, if you took your KSAs and said, we would like to have this be more accessible and be more informative and entertaining, if you, select board, town administrator, et cetera, got bigger screen, got this, got that, made these adjustments, then
If the board
our
would like
finished-
me to
our finished
speak-
product online would look that much better.
Okay,
Because the stuff they've got now up there is pretty,
if the board would like
lacking.
me to speak to, the Board of Selectmen regarding town meeting arrangement or whatnot, I'll be happy to do that.
For instance, how do they do it in West Boylston? How do they do it in some town that has better resources perhaps?
I can tell you, I go to meetings all around, and if it's a big meeting, there's a large screen, and that screen is showing what's going out on TV, that the speaker is speaking. It's, people can see them in the front row, but they can't, as you're saying, people are having trouble hearing, and I've sat in the back, and he's absolutely right, you really don't know what's going on.
You
And it
do
would-
have hearing assistants,
We have them, we
equipment.
tried them and nobody wanted them.
Right, but I'm just
Nobody-
saying, if someone is having difficulty hearing, they can use the hearing
But
assisted,
they're also,
assistance devices.
there's a disconnect, and the connect would be filming what we're putting out on the TV is also going up on a screen behind the selectmen or somewhere up on the stage where people can see. And that would help.
All right,
All
so
of what, everything we're talking about, I think would lead to more volunteerism in town. I think being involved,
I was going to suggest that you and I sit down and come up with some recommendations to, I mean, our product is actually coming off of the feed as well. Our product is coming, you know, we're recording it and it's coming off. if there's issues, that are being, if there's issues that are not particularly in our bag here to do, it would be not a bad solution for us to go talk to the select board and just say, you know, in order for us to have a better product, could you consider addressing these issues? And the issues would be, you know, the slideshow needs to be, you know, it's gotta be, if you're gonna, it's extremely hard to get someone to go back to a town meeting when they sat there and they can't hear what's going, they can't
Right.
decipher what's going on.
Right.
They can't see the slideshow. And so in order to make that, you know, to make it viable for us to do our job better, you need to spend some money addressing some of these other issues in some way. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to do that.
For instance, I don't know if that, the stage in the gym has a giant pull-down screen. Some
I don't
gyms
know.
do.
I don't
But,
know.
maybe the cable committee could put $3,000 in, and the town could put $3,000 in, and we go out and we buy a big screen, you press the button, down comes the screen. In general, I'd like to see this committee, which I think is a very valuable committee, do the very best it can, and if it has to enlist other town resources to do that, I'll be glad to go to the next committee with you, you know? I'm not afraid
I mean,
to speak up.
I think the points that we've brought up here are all, they're all salient to the discussion. You know, I hesitate, I don't like to, you know, throw another committee under the bus or say, that's not our thing, that's their thing, until after I go talk to them and ask them for help. And if we can't get that help, then the answer is, go talk to them. You know, if you don't like the answer we got, then you need to get more people in here and do it again.
Very good. And also going back to the committee hearing, the committee,
Can we talk,
video
Rick,
recording.
after the meeting, can we talk about the schedule and what
Sure.
we would talk about?
FinCan, Concom, and Board of Health would be among the heavy hitters that aren't already recorded.
So other people might as well see different things. I mean, that's in
Absolutely.
your
I'm only one voice.
opinion, right?
I'm only one voice, I'm just here voicing my
Yeah,
voice.
so would the library trustees be willing to be videotaped then, especially with
Let's
the
ask
roof
'em.
project going on?
Let's ask them.
I mean, cause the roof project is a big thing in town, you know,
Sure.
so.
We have a request for our attention here, I think, no?
You need something, sir?
I need to see Tom after, but there's nothing to do
Which
with
Tom,
this.
him or me? That one?
T-Rob.
Okay.
The young one. Thank you very much.
And the horse you rode in on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.
You're welcome, sir. Okay,
Before you in close, I have something I want to talk about.
okay. So, do you have a list of kind of the things we talked about here and so that we can just put together an approach to, I'll get us on the schedule once I know what we're gonna talk about and what we're gonna ask for.
As far as town meeting, or
I think-
also requesting other boards meet in this room?
Well, I think we should put that all together, and we'll call it a cable committee report.
Okay,
And it's going to consist of two areas. One is some requests for assistance from the select board to help us get some meeting scheduling and make it easier for us to put a professional product of a meeting being taped. And then, not taped,
recorded.
you're recording. And then the other part of it is just some suggestions that would help us have a better product at the town meeting, because, you know, we're the ones that are there photographing it or
Recording it.
I'm sorry, dear, recording it. And we're kind of hamstrung a little bit in the fact that we don't have, you know, we've tried to spend our money wisely so that we had equipment that could do the professional job that we wanted to do. But if it's not supported by the same, you know, for, the town needs to address the issue of having, you know, a screen big enough so that people can actually see all the way back to the back what's going on. And they need, you know, we need to make sure the sound system is not just one that, you know, that rolls in on a wobbly wheel. Well, we don't have that one anymore, but we just need more attention there. Could we make, you know, if the question is, well, why can't you guys take care of that, us take care of that? I think it's not in our, you know, we can help you, we can assist, we can make some recommendations, but just like, you know, we don't see it in our purview to take the position that we're going to tell a board or committee that they have to come and sit down and change their night or come and sit here and be.
Right, of course,
done.
that's not, yeah.
That's not what we do. But we could ask, and I don't know that the select board wants to do that. I think you have the authority to do that. But on the other hand, it might be better coming from you than, I mean, we have some, as you know, that have been pretty adamant that they just don't, they'd rather
So
not
my
have a
only
camera.
concern-
Which to me is a foolish thing because, you know, every one of these meetings you go to, there's someone there with a cell phone that's making a recording. You know, if there's an issue of real debate, they're, trust me, you're on TV. It's gonna be.
So the only concern is members again.
The selectmen have the authority, we don't. That's
Right.
my point right along.
Exactly.
And but I think we should make it clear, Tom, that we're perfectly willing to do all that we can to make it happen, whatever they want to have happen.
Right, but they need to be the ones that make that decision.
Correct.
To us, we want, long-term, we want everybody, every board and committee to be videotaped. And so it'll all be up there, and everybody can go to their, sit down at night and smoke a cigar and watch a meeting. But we can't do that with the facilities we have available. We're going to have to make some adjustments. And we need their help to try to make some of those adjustments. We're never probably gonna get there for everybody every week or every day, every month, but we'll do the best we can to try to get there. Yes, sir.
One of the members of the select board, it just popped into my head, is not dedicated to any schedule during the day. I think it's Mr. Williamson? Williams? Jeff?
What about him?
He doesn't have a schedule during the day. He's not.
Correct.
Correct, okay?
Well, no, not correct, not correct.
But he doesn't have a dedicated
he does-
schedule.
I don't know, I know that
Okay.
he does have other things
He
that
has
he
other
does,
things
he
he does,
works.
as we all do.
He does work.
As we all do,
So,
right,
you
okay.
know.
So what we ought to do is we ought to request that one of them come to one of our meetings and sit down with them as their representative, because I doubt we would get them all to come here during the afternoon when we meet, but at least we could talk to them, one of their members, face to face, and say, this is what we'd like to go through, this is what we'd like to propose, you're a member of the board, how do you think it will go, and can you relate to your board, this is what we'd like to see happen in the near future.
I'm not opposed to that.
I think it would be better for you to come to the selectmen meeting, just because you would have
I
all
agree, then
here.
you'd have all of their.
Because,
ears.
just because if we use Jeff as an instance, he could feel one way where others might not. And so you would rather propose, even if not all of you are to come, is, like Tom said, have a letter of ideas or recommendations that is given to them and all of them at the same time.
Right.
Because they can't discuss it amongst themselves without violation of open meeting law.
Okay.
So you would have each individual opinion, and then you would have to compile them. And I
Yeah,
think
and
that would be
thinking
a lot
about it,
harder.
It's not a bad idea, but I think probably it just takes another meeting. We just add another meeting in to go, because.
Right, because chances are we would still at some point have to go before the board, so,
And make recommendations.
right.
Correct.
Right.
So I can let them know that once your report is ready, that you'd want to, meet with them.
Right.
You know, like I said, the only concern you have is people not willing to be recorded, and losing
I wanna-
potential members.
I want to discuss very briefly the, putting this report together that we're gonna go in there. I think because it's coming from us, that we need to, as a group, as a board, approve that. So, while I think I'd like to sit down with Brittany and use, get into her head somehow with the questions and get that laid out, I think we need to have a meeting.
So you could have it draft before the
So
next
we-
Board of Selectmen meeting.
Yes, we need to have a meeting to approve that
Mhm.
as a committee,
Mhm.
and then take it to the select.
So we could have that for next meeting for the cable committee,
We-
for the draft
we-
approval.
We should, for our agenda, have a report from myself and Brittany, what we recommend that be, and then we'll approve that and then take it to the board.
Make a suggestion too, that you did a great job putting everything together here. There's one thing missing. It's, we don't have a treasurer, but what do we have to spend? We need to know that, you know,
I can have that for you next time. I can
I
get it
think
for
we
you
should
right
have it
now
every
if you want.
time,
Yeah.
Laura,
Oh, sure,
just-
every time.
so that we know what we can spend and what we can't spend.
18 grand more than we could spend last week.
So every bi-weekly, we get an expenditure report, so I will print out the most current
Right.
one with your total on it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I read the expenditure report all the time, I see the numbers in there, so. Okay, great. We all set? Anything else to come before us today?
Next meeting.
Well, yeah, let's get this
Yeah.
first.
You know, when I was originally invited to come to this meeting, I wasn't told that it was the cable committee there. What can I do to stir up excitement in town and educate people, newcomers, what's going on? And years ago, one of the Boston stations did a show called A Day in the Life of Massachusetts. They had camera crews all over the state, for example, the police department in Athol, and then this grammar school over here, and the post office, and kind of an activity. And that's when I had the inspiration to do that film I did in 1991, Hubbardston the movie. Just highlighted craftspeople in town, the school, what they're doing, and the Lions Club, and field day, and all this different activities in town. And I think everybody in town watched it, because people know me ever since. And I want to do something similar to that, maybe a multi-part thing of A Day in the Life of Hubbardston, where it would be filmed over a period of time that pull us together. But if you're your farm, go there and show your farm video and what you do there, the wool you create, your wife makes stuff with it. All these farms, these people that have gardens and farm stands, and all your artists in town, woodcarvers, oil painters, watercolor. It's going to highlight all the craft people, what they're doing. At the same time, exposing their goods, their craft, advertising for them, which you can't advertise on cable, but you can show what they're doing.
Correct.
You know, stripping. And I didn't know they did watercolors. I'm interested, or this or that. Kind of do a whole show on the life of Hubbardston. What's going on here? I think that'll be educate people and newcomers of the activity of this town.
You willing to do that?
Yeah, I've had this. I've been throwing this around now for a couple of months.
What do you guys think?
Pardon?
What do you think?
I think that's a good idea.
Good idea.
I'm sitting here thinking, not only what goes on in Hubbardston, but what about what the people from Hubbardston do for a living? You'd be surprised,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised every day.
Maybe I could have one show of just all the farms.
Yeah, that'd be great.
A little bit of history of the farms of the past and what's here now, and another one of all the artists, the crafters, the garden people that have gardens and what they grow and specialize in.
Why don't you start putting it together, you know?
I've already got quite a bit of footage ready for it.
Oh, so you've been out there? I should have known. He's probably got
6 hours
4
worth.
hours,
Yeah.
6 hours worth.
He's
And-
probably got more than we can swallow.
And just glance at that, some of the maps and stuff. I can see
yeah.
a field trip down there with filming, videotape, touring all the boundary markers.
So did you take them down there on the 18th?
No, I didn't. I haven't seen these yet.
Oh, okay.
But,
We recorded it. That was Saturday, I believe,
Okay.
Historical Commission,
or the previous.
we wanna have a field trip to go look at these
Do you
boundaries.
know what the history on the town markers have been and the requirements for the selectmen to go out and find them every year?
Well, there is, most towns have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's still on the Mass General Law, so
Yeah.
they have to do it. Who put this together, Robin?
Yep.
Robin Langer? This together? It's
Thought he
pretty.
did a great job.
Very,
And,
very nice job.
there's a title for that position too. What is it, boundary walker or something of that sort? I
Yeah.
forget.
So
This
y'all
was his
know,
year doing
y'all
it.
know why there's this little corner cut out of Hubbardston there.
Did Mowachuset?
Huh?
Did Mowachuset?
No, that's not what you said. That was one of the grape farms. When they put the whole thing together, it was one of the grape farms, and the people that lived on it, because at the time, you were assumed you were going to church. And it was a hell of a lot closer to go to church, in Princeton for them than it was to get over to Hubbardston and go to church. So they petitioned the town to cut them loose and be part of Princeton, and that's what they are. This little thing here is now Princeton. That's where that little piece went.
That's because they paying their pew tax?
Yeah, I mean, they had to, everybody paid a pew tax, and it wasn't the tax that was getting them, it was that, you know, in the winter, they had to get horse or buggies to go through the snow all the way over to where, where is the C-62, so it was probably somewhere right in here, whereas Princeton was was closer, according to what they thought anyway. They wanted to go to church in Princeton.
There was one family in town years ago that wanted to go to the Baptist Society. They didn't want to go to any of the churches in town. So they went to Barry and refused to pay their pew tax. And the town confiscated some cattle and horses to pay their pew tax.
Yeah. That was back in the days when the church and state were not, they weren't separate in any way. So, and also, you know, we were famous later on when Gardner was formed and being the one town that wouldn't give any land away to Gardner. So, this is great.
So that may be an interesting program to video these.
Do you have another copy of this?
It's online. I can
Okay.
print you off a copy if you'd like.
Yeah, I would like, I
It's 40
I have-
pages.
well, that's all right.
Yeah.
I have another town in another state that could use this. Excuse me. I need to interfere on other states instead of this one. Okay, anything else that needs to come before us now? It's a good idea, start putting legs
Like,
under it and.
Maybe I go to a Lions Club event and kind of film what you guys are doing, whether it's an ice derby or even a meeting. So this is the Lions Club, this is who we are, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the Cub Scouts. And have a little bit of their activities in this.
There are portions of the Lions meetings that you would not be.
Privy
we don't-
to.
be privy to, and that's those when we discuss community needs. We know who the people are, we have really good discussions about how much we're gonna give them or not give them. And, we're sworn to secrecy that we're not gonna discuss any names.
Yeah, but what you're doing, like the bandstand, remember, you came to
yeah.
the house
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and showing the pictures of the bandstand vision that you want to build,
Right.
and what was involved in that, and field day, and the police jail and all that, so kind
Well,
of.
they still have that, you know, Tatton still has that video, but he's not gonna give it to us. I know why, actually, but.
When
it's
they're
not-
building the bandstand?
Yeah,
I got the original copies of that.
yeah, well, we need to wait.
Well, it's been an interesting meeting, Mr. Chairman, and I think
For being late, it was,
we've come over some good ground.
right, I
and
do too. Is there anything else we need to look at?
Just your
except the
next meeting.
Next meeting?
A date for
a date for the next meeting, so what your
There's the
suggestion is?
14th or the 21st, both Tuesdays in May.
May, the 14th and the 21st. The 14th, Tuesday. Is that, I'm at a, we're out of town, from Thursday to Monday of the first weekend. We're down in Maryland.
Okay.
Okay, so that's to the 6th.
And then we're out of town, but in New Hampshire, the next weekend, and that's just Friday to being home on Sunday night. So we would be around for that,
Either one.
for either one of those.
Mhm. And
So
these
for-
are the week, either the week or before Memorial Day. Memorial Day is on the 28th, so
Yeah,
14th or 21st, either way.
I would think earlier rather than late. What do you
14th?
think?
Yeah, I would agree. Especially if we're attempting to do anything in advance
For
of
town
the
meeting.
town meeting, the sooner the better.
Right. So you and I need to get together.
Yes.
14th then?
Okay.
14th
14th
at
at
2
2.
p.m.
14th of May. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.